Hi. Thank you for tuning in. I'm so excited for today's word, and I believe God is going to speak to your heart and give you a word that you can hold on during this season. I'm continuing a series that I started in the previous episode, and it is called Who God Is to Us. But the title of the message, that the subtitle is God is a Person. And today we're looking at who God is and his nature. So we're going to look at three things about God. His nature, what we call his attributes. Yeah, so let's dive into the word. We're looking at today Genesis chapter 1. We started the other time, and we're going to look at verses 3 to 5. Before that, let me say that Genesis 1, the opening chapter of the Bible, declares who God is. God doesn't, nobody has to explain or to sort of, convince somebody about the existence of God. Actually, he is not existing, he is living. He is alive and he gives life. He is the source of life. God is the source of life. And we found out in Genesis 1, verse 1, it says, "In the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth." So in the beginning, which means that before the beginning, before anything ever existed on this earth, before God gave life to any being on this earth, he was and he is. He is and he will always be. That is his nature. That's who he is. And we continue from Genesis, the third verse, Genesis 1, it says, "And God said, let there be light. And there was light. And God saw that the light was good, and he separated the light from the darkness." Verse 5, it goes on to say that God called the light day, and darkness called night. And there was evening, and then was morning. Here we see God said something and it happened. That's who he is. He said, let there be light. There was darkness all over the place. The whole place was in a mess. And he said, let there be light. And the light appeared. And this is one of the nature. We're going to look at the nature of God here. God is powerful. He's a powerful God. The word that is used here is omnipotent God. Omnipotent. It consists of two words, omni. Today we'll be looking at that omni, the three words that we have. Omnipotent. Omni means all. All. Without exclusion. It's all. So when we say the nature of God is he's omnipotent, means he's all powerful. He's in heaven and he can do whatever he wants to do. That's who he is. He's powerful. And he creates with the power of his word and sustains everything with the power of his word. So he said, let there be light. He said it and it came into being. Wow, what a God. I quite remember when I was a kid, I think around 8 years or so, I have this sort of, something came to my mind. Say, it wouldn't be bad if, for instance, I can sit behind the dining table, close my eyes and say, God, I want to eat rice and beans with chicken, crispy chicken, and then a lot of cookies after that, and ice cream, my favorite. And I would say amen at the end. And by the time I open my eyes, I will see this meal just standing right before me on the table. Unfortunately, it didn't happen. It didn't happen. And I started questioning myself. I said, well, I'm not powerful enough. This should work. It didn't happen because I didn't have the power to do that. But God has power to do everything, anything, apart from sin. There are some things, even though He's powerful, He can do anything, there are some things God wouldn't do. He cannot do. God cannot sin. God cannot lie. And He wouldn't do anything that will contradict His word. Never. Absolutely never, 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 never. He would never do that. So He's all powerful. And we see it right here. To separate the light from the darkness. To Him, to God, it's normal. It's a normal thing. It's natural. But what is natural to God, it's to us humans supernatural. Supernatural. And we see that character, that same nature in His Son Jesus. He went around doing good, helping people, and healing the sick. Yes. And casting out devils from people. He was so concerned about the spiritual state of people. He performed that miracle. Hey, be healed, and instantly people were being healed. That's supernatural power. Jesus was all powerful. One time the Israelites, when they were delivered from Egypt, they were going to the promised land and they faced a Red Sea. There was an impediment before them, and behind them, Pharaoh and his army were chasing them, and he wanted to destroy them. But God did something. He said to Moses, stretch forth the staff, the rod that you have in your hand. And so Moses did that, and look at what happened. Then Moses stretched out his hand over the sea, and all that night the Lord drove the sea back with a strong east wind and turned it into dry land. The waters were divided, and the Israelites went through the sea on the dry land with a wall of water on their right side and on their left side. This is unheard of. God divided the sea, and the sea just, he sent a strong wind that divided it, and it became a wall on both sides, and his children walked on a dry land. This is powerful. Nobody has done this before and after him. That's how powerful God is. Omnipotent. Everything is possible with him. That's the God that we serve. That's the God that he loves you. He loves you. Now, the second thing we're looking at today is omniscient. Omni and then saint. In fact, omni is all. And then the second part of the word is like science, sense, meaning knowing. So God is all knowing. He's all knowing. I love that. I love it. He knows everything. He knows the beginning from the end, and he knows the end from the beginning. That is who he is. He knows your birthday. And unfortunately, I don't know how to even put it, he knows your death day. It's scary. It's really scary. But that's the truth of the matter. He knows everything. He knows everything. And let's look at what the psalmist is saying. King David, he writes something. He describes this nature of God here in Psalm 139. And I'm going to read from verses 1. You see, he said, "You have searched me, Lord, and you know me. You know when I sit and when I rise up. You perceive my thoughts from afar. You discern my going out and my lying down, and you are familiar with all my ways. Before a word is on my tongue, Lord, you know it completely." You see the number of times he's using the word know? He said, God, you know me inside and out. That is who God is. He knows each one of us inside and out. He knows even our thoughts, what we're thinking of, what we're going to do. And he can discerns to be able to perceive. I mean, he perceives, he can discern to be able to know exactly what you're planning to do and accomplish. He sees it before before it even happens. And I love how King David puts it. He says, before I even speak a word, you already know. He knows what you're going to even say before you even voice it out, your thoughts. He's all-knowing God. Wow. That's who he is. One time, at the end of his ministry, Jesus, he was going to Jerusalem, and he told his disciples, he said, go into this village, go into this particular house, and you find an animal, a donkey, with a young donkey colt, untie them and bring them to me. When somebody asks you, why are you taking it? The owner say, oh, the Lord needs it. And he sent Peter and one of the disciples, I think John, and they went to that village and they did exactly what Jesus told them. They went and they found the donkey and its baby, the colt, and brought them to Jesus. Jesus hasn't been there, but he saw it and he knew it. He knew it. Before God delivered Israel from Egypt, he called Moses and he told Moses, Moses, listen, I have heard the cry of my people. I know what they are going through. They are being mistreated there. And I've seen it and I know it. And I want you to go to see Pharaoh and tell him to leave my people. Let my people go. God was in heaven, but he saw everything. He knew it. He knew it. He knew it. There's another example. Cain had a brother. His name is Abel. And Cain hated his brother because of his success. And so he killed his brother. and covered it up. Nobody knew it. But when he left the scene, God spoke to him, said, Cain, where is your brother? You've murdered him. No human knew about that. God knew about it. God knows what you're going through. I am not in a position to know what's happening in your marriage, in your business, in your life, what you are facing right now, but God knows about it. But there's something interesting about him. God is like a gentleman. He will never interfere into human affairs without permission, without your permission. Okay, he wouldn't do that. He respects you so much that he wouldn't love to do that. Not until you call on him. That's who he is. Else he will be forcing us, we'll be like zombies. He'll be forcing us to do something against our will. He's giving us our personal will. We can do whatever we want. But if we want him to do something for us, he would like for us to just ask, invite him. That's why sometimes it seems like, oh, where is he? He didn't even come. He didn't help me when I was going through this. And sometimes he has a reason for allowing certain things to happen in our lives. He knows that. He knows everything. He knows everything. That's the God that we serve. Now, the third thing we're looking at today is omnipresence. Omnipresence. Presence, and then the word omni, all present. That is, God is present everywhere. God can be everywhere at the same time. God is here with me as I'm talking to you and there with you. And in Africa, listening to people at the same time in Asia. There's something, it's mind-boggling. I mean, you cannot even imagine that, comprehend. That's who he is. He's everywhere. You know, the devil can be everywhere. He's not omnipresent. Devil. No, he can be at one place at a time. If he's here, if he's in Africa, he can be in Asia. That's why he has his agents called the devils, the demons. So they operate. The demons are his representatives. So he gives instructions to them and they go to perform and then later on come to give accounts. But God is not like that. That's not his nature. God is everywhere present. He's everywhere. He's everywhere. But he's not in everything. When I say he's not in everything, I'm talking about the way we worship him. Yes, he can be in the river. Sometimes we worship a river, but he is not in the river to receive our worship. God is spirit. He's invisible, yet invincible. Nobody can conquer him. And look at what King David writes about this God we're talking about. He says in Psalm 139, verse 7, 8, 9, he says, where can I go from your spirit? That's what I said. God is spirit. Where can I flee from your presence? If I go up to the heavens, you are there. You are there. If I make my bed in the depths, you are there. In the depths, you are there. If I rise on the wings of the dawn, if I settle On the far side of the sea, even there, your hand will guide me. Your right hand will hold me fast. Wow. King David is saying, he's everywhere. He is everywhere. We can't run away from God. We can't hide. Nobody can escape from the King. Nobody. He's everywhere. And that is really, really important. You will say, but what has that got to do with me? Oh, God is with you. You might feel lonely. Oh, I'm feeling lonely, bored. You feel lonely, but you are not alone. It might be so difficult for you maybe right now and think, well, your friends have turned away from you. But listen, God is with you. You don't see him, but he's around. Just call on him. Oh, yes. He will hear. He's everywhere. He's everywhere. One time he came to visit Abraham and his wife, Sarah, and they were preparing food for him. That's in the Old Testament. He came as a visitor in a human form. And whilst they were in the kitchen, God was talking with Abraham. While Sarah was in the kitchen preparing the food, God had a conversation with Abraham and he said, Abraham, you don't have a child, but I'm going to perform a miracle. Next year at the same time, I'll come again and Sarah, your wife, will have a child. Sarah overheard it whilst in the kitchen and laughed. He laughed silently, but God heard it. Not because it was louder, but God knew it. And he said, look, Sarah is laughing. Why are you laughing, Sarah? God was there. Even though he was talking to Abraham, he was present there. So we can hide from him. You cannot hide from him. Can hide from him. Yes, you can hide. We cannot hide anything from God. He's everywhere present and he sees everything. So our God is omnipotent, all-powerful, omniscient, all-knowing God, and omnipresent. He's everywhere. Everywhere. Let this encourage you that he can do the impossible, that he is there with you. And wherever you go, his presence will accompany you. Literally, his spirit will be with you. Will be with you. So who is the God we serve? That is the God who loves you. Woo! So that's pretty much it. And my prayer is that God will guide you throughout this whole week with his presence and do the impossible. Call on him today and expect him to step in and give you a helping hand. May the Lord richly bless you and see you soon. Bye-bye.